Hey, this is Jason Kincaid for TechCrunch TV, and I'm here with Marissa Meyer, who is currently leading Google's Places products, was previously for a decade leading all of the search efforts. So you're a pretty important person, obviously one of the more public faces of Google, and today we're at the Social Loco conference, where she gave a keynote and then did an interview with John Battelle. So now we have a chance to ask her a few quick questions. So first off, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So the first thing I want to ask about is something you announced today. It's Google Photos for Businesses, which sounds to me like Street View for business interiors.
That's kind of what it is.
Okay.
So we've been doing Street View now for a few years. A few months ago we released something called the Art Project, where we partnered with 17 different museums, brought the Street View cameras in, not on the cars, and shot the rooms and really tried to capture what was it like to be inside the museum. And now, for the past few months, we've been taking invitations from businesses. And if you want to know more about how to invite your business, you can go to maps.google.com/businessphotos. You can see there how to make a request. And we've been going in, shooting the interiors as panoramics and or stitching together panoramics. And it's a great way for users to get a better feel of what's the place like.
So my understanding, and they touched on this during the interview with Battelle, is that Google, or at least Google sanctioned photographers, are the ones who are doing the photo shoots. But it seems, I mean, that obviously isn't going to scale. So, and it seems like you guys are considering releasing a mobile application where people could take a 360-degree photo. Is that within your reasoning? Is that?
Well, I think that right now we're just getting started. We're operating at a very small scale. It's something that if we see good response to and good usage of, we'll scale up. That said, we have literally hundreds and thousands of photographers all over the world who already contribute to Google Earth through things like Panoramio, and so it is easy to imagine how we might be able to call upon some of our user community to scale the effort.
Okay, so next question concerns Google Hotpot, which you guys launched, I believe, last fall, and now you've incorporated it into the main Maps product or Places product.
That's right.
First off, I'm sure people have asked you about this before. What was the deal with the name? Like, what was the thinking there?
Well, I think we wanted something fun. So one way to think of it is Hotpot was a feature. For a long time it was an experimental feature. We've recently declared the experiment a success and built it right into the core of Google Places. And I think that we are of two minds on the naming. Yes, sometimes we like to be very literal, Google Places, but for so many small businesses you want an element of personality. You want something that's a little bit
goofy,
a little bit goofy that just kind of expresses the personality, and so the product was internally codenamed Hotpot.
Okay, and then like, yeah, let's keep that.
And then when we went to release it, we were like, well, it's an experiment. Let's go ahead and try it this way, see how people respond. Interestingly, people really liked the name, but it's a little confusing, like Hotpot, Hotspot. Sometimes there was an S in the middle, but I do think people liked the name. But on the whole, we were happy with the response we got for ratings and reviews, and we felt that ratings and reviews and the ability to build recommendations off of them was a piece of core functionality we really wanted to have integrated into Places.
Okay. And so moving into Places, the whole product on the whole, so this is going to sound sort of mean, and I hope it isn't overly mean, but every time I go to Places and I look at the user reviews and I see the map, I feel like I'm using sort of like a cheap Yelp knockoff. And I know that obviously Yelp and Google were in talks at some point that didn't work out. But when are you guys planning to differentiate yourselves from Yelp by adding new features that are really innovating? Because right now, every time I get there, I see a bunch of reviews. Some of them, I believe you guys have worked out a relationship with Yelp. For now, you are showing Yelp reviews again, but for a while you weren't. Where are we going to see Places evolve from here so that it doesn't just look like Yelp?
Sure. Well, I think that we already have started to release some of the differentiation. So for example, Hotpot, now part of Google Places, was the first place you could get personalized recommendations based on your ratings and reviews. And so you tell us what you like, and based on other users like you and others of your friends, we can find you more places that you'd like. And so that's something that we have started to do, and we were the first to do that. And there'll be more innovations and differentiation coming.
Okay.
Right now, today, the place pages that we have are really about being a factual representation of all the information we see on the web aggregated about a place. So it's the photos, it's the map, it's the open hours, it's their listing, but it's also the reviews that are on the common review sites. Sometimes newspaper reviews show up there, the reviews from our site. we're trying to pull it all together, and we have a lot of ideas of things that we could do that would be really good for users, but we'll have to wait and see a little bit there.
Okay. And so talking about, as far as user reviews and ratings, this is a little bit different from a lot of Google products in the sense that users are expected to contribute ratings and their own reviews based on their experiences, whereas a lot of Google products are a little more passive in the sense that you're running a query, but you're not necessarily submitting any information. So what are you going to do to compel or incentivize users to really start leaving ratings and reviews in these products?
Well, we've been doing a bunch of different things around the ratings and review product to date. So we have made it easy to distribute your ratings and reviews, so you can actually do this through Twitter, for example. And we also are trying to provide justifications. So when you see a recommended place in your search results on google.com, we actually tell you why. So for example, if one of your friends did a search for, say, barbecue places and you had rated a barbecue place, it'll say, Jason gave this 4 stars. So it tells them a little bit about the social context of why we think that's a good business.
So
and highlighting
in other words, you
and
think people are going to start seeing these in search results and then they'll be like, oh, I want my friends to see next time they search for barbecue, so I'm going to start leaving reviews.
You'll see the ratings and reviews as they get published, you'll see the justifications as you're searching and in that context, and hopefully that will remind people to do some ratings. We're also working on making the check-in and rating experiences even more seamless on the phones, because our mobile usage is just exploding. We announced 40% usage when we were at South by Southwest in the beginning of March. It's now not even 2 months later, and we are already seeing more traffic coming from mobile than from desktop, especially on the weekends. So we are starting to see that crossover happen, and so optimizing the mobile experience and really thinking through that piece is really important.
So speaking of mobile, so I know Google Latitude has been one of the products that has been Google's location product for years now, and it really, my sense is it hasn't really taken off, maybe to the degree that you guys are expected or hoped. What changes are we going to see there? Because I know initially it was sort of a passive location monitoring tool or service, and now you can check in, and they're incorporating deals into Latitude. Is this something that you guys are going to continue iterating on, or do you think you're just going to kind of scrap it and start with something new?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that Latitude has been really successful. We have a lot of Latitude users, more than 10 million people using Google Latitude. And I think that when you look at that, a lot of them are using it, but as you point out, they're not that engaged with it, which is one of the reasons why we've been increasing the overall engagement. Can we get people checked in? Can we help them save money and find cool things to do using deals and offers linked to check-ins? And so we're starting to look at how can we evolve the product to really increase the engagement factor.
So do you see Latitude, I guess the question I'm getting at is, over the next year or two, do you see Latitude as being where you guys are going to concentrate your mobile efforts and trying to boost up usage and engagement of that product? Or do you see that you guys are going to start launching more products that are a little different from that, or maybe taking some of those ideas and just focusing on them exclusively?
Well, I think that for a lot of users, Latitude is a feature of Google Maps. Because if you're a Latitude user, it shows up on your maps when you use it, because it's actually the same application. And so I think that we ultimately will have 2 really big sides of the coin. Google Maps for mobile, which is now has more than 150 million users, and Google Local, right, or Google Places today, which is the local listings around this, where you can see in a more textual form, right? One's geospatial, one's textual, but you can see what kinds of places are around you nearby, rate them, get recommendations, all of those types of things. And Latitude is really a feature of Maps. Can I see where my friends are around me? Do I want to share my location right now? And so when you look at our suite of products, the way to think of it is there's 2 core pillars, Google Places and Google Maps, and Latitude is a feature of Maps. That said, because people really enjoy the social part of it, we have an entry point that brings you right into the Latitude experience.
Okay, so it sounds like going forward, Places and Maps are going to be the 2 products that you guys are going to keep iterating on, and we're not going to see a third new Google local social thing come out.
Well, because like when you look at what Latitude is, it just shows, it's on a map, it just shows you your friends. So it makes sense for that to be the default view for many Maps users, which is what it is today. So people don't realize is if you have Latitude and you're a Latitude user, when you use Google Maps, you're already experiencing it. You have a check-in box on the map, and you can see where your friends are.
And I may be just kind of harping on the same thing, but my issue, I understand that everyone has Latitude, or particularly Android users, it comes on your phone. But most of my friends who are on Latitude have no, like, they don't even remember it. They've been tracking their location, they share it with like one person, and they don't realize it. So are you guys going to launch more features within Maps in places that are going to lead people to want to share this location with their friends?
That's right.
Okay.
Because I mean, like when you look at things like check-ins and offers, that's what we're trying to do is incentivize people to share their location more, get more out of their location.
And one last question, because I know we don't have much time. So how is NFC going to play into this? Because Android added support for NFC with Gingerbread. I know the next wave of phones is probably going to feature NFC. So how does this tie into Places and Latitude and Maps?
Sure. Well, we think we can use NFC for all kinds of things, like for example for check-ins, and just really verifying that a person's in a place. And so I think there's a lot of exciting things that we can do around NFC. We're working on printing up stickers. A lot of the stickers that we've distributed to date for Google Places have NFC capabilities within them. And so right now there's not very many phones that have the NFC capability, but that's growing quickly. And as more and more phones become NFC capable, they'll be able to take advantage of some of these elements.
So beyond payments, because I know that's what Eric Schmidt showed off in November, I think, at the Web 2.0 Summit. So this is going to be part of your social strategy and your location strategy as far as incentivizing people to tap their phones, even if they're not necessarily paying for something, but to get an offer by tapping it.
It's something we're going to try out.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This is Marissa Meyer, and thanks again.
Thank you.